Hi, this is TheHande Mäkinen. Welcome to this belated follow-up to my video about the recent Finnish parliamentary elections and what happened in the aftermath of it. I'm recording this on the 20th of June, which is to say the exact same day that the new government of Petteri Orpo is getting sworn into power. So here's a little summation of what happened in the election and immediately after that. So the parliamentary elections happened in early April, and as I sort of have predicted, the results were not very surprising. The NCP, led by Petteri Orpo, ended up winning the parliamentary election, with the Finns party coming in second and the SDP third, with literally all the other parties of the previous government, except the Swedish People's Party, losing seats in that election. So which is to say that the Center Party, who was the most contentious of the parties in Sanna Marin's government, did end up losing quite a few seats, though it wasn't a complete all-out blowout like some people had predicted. Nevertheless, the fact that the SDP actually gained seats was actually quite surprising, but the biggest surprise of all is what happened immediately after the election. It was pretty much a given that the SDP was not going to be in the next government, and Sanna Marin actually solidified that pretty early on, stating that particularly that she was not going to form a government with the NCP or the Finns party. So it became pretty evident that the NCP and the Finns party were going to be in the government. However, with both parties gaining only a little over 20% of the seats in the government, that meant that they were going to need a lot of help. And this is when the big surprise, for me at least, happened when the Center Party announced that they in fact did not want to be in the government. This was very surprising to me because out of all the former Sanna Marin government parties, I really did assume the Center Party was going to get into the government even with their poor showing. But this also meant that there was a lot of difficult math for the Orpo government to figure out just how to make up a majority government. And in fact, for a little while, I think some political experts even believe that we might end up getting a minority government. So what did end up happening is that to get over that fabled 50% mark line, the NCP had to also invite the Christian Democrats and the Swedish People's Party to the party. Or government in this case. Apparently this caused a bit of an international stir, with many people saying that Finland now has probably the most right-leaning government that it has ever had, with three of the parties being pretty solidly right-leaning and the Finnish party teetering somewhere between left and right. Now after the election, Orpo was obviously signed as the government negotiator. Remember, he is only now getting sworn in as prime minister. But basically, unless something completely unprecedented happens, the negotiator usually ends up becoming the prime minister anyway. And after a little over a month of government negotiations, the parties managed to divide the minister seats based on the governmental program that they hammered through. Petteri Orpo is obviously going to be prime minister, while the leader of the Finns party, Riikka Purra, is going to be finance minister. The Swedish People's Party's leader, Anna-Maja Henriksson, is getting the education minister seat, while Sari Essayah, the leader of the Christian Democrats, is going to get the seat of the Minister of Agriculture and Forestry. Additionally, the NCP will be getting the municipal ministry seat, the foreign ministry seat, and the culture and science ministry seats, while the Finns party additionally will be getting the foreign trade and development ministry, the interior ministry, and the justice ministry, as well as the social and healthcare ministry. While the Swedish People's Party will get the European and government ownership ministry. And what sort of policy will this new government be up to? Well, one of the biggest things that has been talked about a lot is that the ministry is going to be cutting public costs as much as possible. This has actually led to a lot of unflattering comparisons with the Sipilä government, while the Finns party has pushed heavily for the lowering of fuel costs, as well as lowering Finland's refugee quota, as well as tightening immigration policies all around. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I wasn't super happy with the outcome of these elections, and I'm also not a big fan of the government formation that ended up forming. But right now, I think a lot of people are just hoping that the NCP and the Swedish People's Party will be basically reining in the slightly more contentious Finns and Christian Democratic parties. And while these policies right now don't sound particularly great or anything, I did mention in my previous video where I talked about the parliamentary elections, I do genuinely hope that the government will be able to make some sustained policies, and certainly I do hope that they will actually stay in office for a considerable amount of time, because one of the things that I don't really want happening is a situation similar to Sweden's, where governments have recently experienced some very short lifespans. And I do have some genuine hope that as bad as some of the policies seem right now, that once they actually get enacted, it won't be nearly as bad as it sounds. But yeah, many people are getting their services cut because of the current policies. It is understandable that the NCP wants to balance Finland's budget. The main thing that I haven't really heard much about is what, if anything, the government is going to do about improving Finland's productivity. And note that by that, I don't mean how much money we're not spending on public services. I mean how much money is being spent so that Finland might create some new innovations or new business ideas that might improve the economy. And the thing with that, of course, is that it's not something that I think the government can really directly influence. They can maybe help it indirectly in some way, and I do hope and believe at least that the NCP is going to try on that front as well. And I have to assume that the Finns party and the Christian Democrats wanting to come along with them on this front is a sign that there seems to be some kind of master plan at work. Anyway, sorry for the belated follow-up. I didn't really want to make this follow-up video until the government program was actually official, and that it was official that this government formation was actually going to take power. We're all waiting with eager anticipation to see what exactly is going to come out of all of this. I'm TheHande. See you on the next one.